There's a new car conquering the world. It's cheaper than anything Ford or Volkswagen can build. Wall Street loves it. Warren Buffett owns a piece of it. Harvard literally teaches it. But fly a drone over certain fields outside a Chinese megacity, and you'll find thousands of those same cars, brand new, never driven, left to rot in the grass. This is the story of how one company may have pulled off the greatest magic trick in modern capitalism, and why the smartest money on earth fell for it. Let's tear it down. Every illusion needs a believable story. This one was perfect. A chemist from rural China starts a battery workshop in a rented warehouse. 20 years later, he's a billionaire running a global giant. Warren Buffett bought in back in 2008. And in investing, that one fact is a magic password. If he owns it, it must be real. Harvard wrote case studies about it. Goldman Sachs called it a generational opportunity. Forbes framed the founder as a self-made genius. Here's the uncomfortable part. None of them were lying. They were reading from a script the company had spent 20 years writing for them. By 2022, it overtook Tesla as the world's biggest seller of electric vehicles. The underdog story was complete, and that's exactly when the cracks started forming. Now let's do the math that nobody on Wall Street wanted to do. This company sells its cheapest electric car for about $8,000. A full EV, screen, software, warranty, and a battery made from some of the most expensive materials on Earth. Meanwhile, building a competitive electric car in Europe or America costs $30,000 to $40,000 before profit, before shipping. The official explanation is vertical integration. They make their own batteries. True, but run the numbers honestly and the gap still doesn't close. Here's the detail that breaks the story. By 2024, almost every Chinese automaker was losing money. Average profit per EV, about $300. At those margins, a global price war should be suicide, and yet the prices keep falling. So the real question isn't how they're winning, it's who is paying the bill. In 2024, researchers at Germany's Kiel Institute followed the money. What they found answers the question. Between 2018 and 22, at least $3.7 billion flowed directly from the Chinese state into the company's accounts. And that's only the direct cash. It doesn't count free land for factories, cheap raw materials, government fleets ordered to buy domestic, tax breaks on every single sale. By 2025, state support reached 12.5 billion yuan in a single year. Nearly a third of the company's entire pre-tax profit. Strip the subsidies out, and the miracle's profit collapses by half. That's not a competitive advantage. Critics call it something else, a state project wearing a corporate suit. Then, in January 2025, a research firm called GMT looked at the balance sheet, the same firm that warned about Evergrande before it collapsed. The company reported net debt of about $4 billion. GMT's estimate, from the same public filings, closer to $45 billion. Where does debt hide? In the supply chain. The company pays suppliers not in cash, but in its own IOU notes. 400 billion yuan of them. Suppliers wait an average of 275 days to get paid. The global norm is 45 to 60. GMT's verdict, the company looks, quote, addicted to supply chain financing. Chinese regulators quietly agreed. In 2025, they ordered automakers to pay suppliers within 60 days. When the referee changes the rules mid-game, it tells you who is bending them. Now back to those fields full of brand new cars. Because that's where the whole machine connects. Walk into a Chinese used car lot and you'll find something strange. Cars listed as used, with 0 kilometers on the odometer, still smelling of new plastic. Here's the trick. As regulators described it, register brand new cars as sold to dealers on paper, collect the government subsidy on each unit, then dump them into the used market or into a field. Every fake sale pockets up to 30,000 yuan in clean energy subsidies. The buyer? The company itself wearing a different hat. Regulators eventually summoned the automakers. Dealers were drowning. Average inventory more than double the healthy norm. One major dealer collapsed, leaving 20 stores dark. The CEO of a rival automaker gave an interview and called this, quote, the Evergrande of the auto industry. He didn't say the name. He didn't need to. December 19th, 2024. Brazilian labor inspectors raid a construction site in the state of Bahia, a new factory, a symbol of economic cooperation. They find 471 workers brought into the country illegally, 163 of them living in what investigators formally classified as conditions analogous to slavery. Passports confiscated, 60% of wages withheld. Workers told that leaving meant owing the company their airfare, with no ticket home. The company blamed a subcontractor. Brazilian investigators concluded the automaker bore direct responsibility. In 2025, Brazil added it to the official registry of employers who use slavery-like labor. That's the human line item behind the cheapest cars on Earth. And the product itself? That has its own problems. In a single year, the company recalled more than 210,000 vehicles, nearly 100,000 for a steering unit defect that could catch fire. Then hybrids recalled for battery packs so inconsistent, some couldn't drive electric at all. Look at the pattern. Almost every recall traces back to the battery and electrical systems, the exact technology this company built its entire legend on. And the biggest recall wasn't even self-reported. Chinese regulators found the defect first. When the state that funds you has to police you, the story is slipping. By late 2025, 2 straight quarters of falling profit. Net income down a third. Revenue down for the first time in 5 years. The miracle was showing its seams. If this all feels familiar, it should. In 2021, the world watched a Chinese property giant called Evergrande collapse under $300 billion of hidden debt. Inflated sales, off-balance sheet debt, a model that only worked while it grew, a government that held the roof up until it didn't. Now count the parallels. In 2025, Beijing privately told automakers to stop the price war. The president himself criticized provinces for blindly overbuilding EV factories. Industry analysts predict that of China's 130 EV brands, only about 15 will survive to 2030. That's 115 eliminations. The question is just who's on the list. Here's the thing, this story was never really about cars. It's a playbook. Use state power as a competitive weapon. Flood the market. Kill the competition with prices they can't survive. Own the industry that's left. The same playbook already ran through solar panels, steel, shipbuilding, semiconductors, industries the West used to own, and now doesn't. That's why the EU slapped tariffs of up to 38% on Chinese EVs. Why the US went to 100%. Not to protect weak companies, because they finally understood the game. Late, and it's personal. If you own a green energy ETF or an index fund, there's a decent chance a slice of your pension is riding on this exact structure. The subsidies, the phantom sales, the shadow debt, the recalls, the echo of Evergrande. You've now seen the machine from the inside, so here's the only question that matters. Now that you know how the game works, are you still willing to play by their rules? If this changed how you see the headlines, subscribe. Next time, the boring companies you've never heard of that secretly run the world.